we start then?
Yes.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. That's about the question that posted in the Bible. I think last week discussed it literally means is there is a son of me. Yeah, Ati is the third person singular form of us in the present tense, and its subject is Bhutto. If you look at this sentence, you can say Bhutto me Ati. Bhutta is the subject, and Ati is the verb. Me is acting as the genitive case. So I have a son. So in English, the person who possesses is the subject. The thing which is being possessed is the object, and then have is the verb. But here, the object, the possessed thing, or the possessed means what is object of have in English becomes the subject in Pāļi, and the person who possesses, the person who has the connection, is written in genitive case. So that is one kind of a rule in Pāļi. However, in the sentence Maihang dve pada dve hatta ekansi sancha atti, in Tutiyo Sanjayo, the subject is plural, but the verb is still atti. So we have Maihang dve pada, two legs, dve hatta, two hands, and one head. So here we have five objects, because it's connected with ch. If it is connected with ba, you can take only one. But here it's connected with ch. So altogether we have add and say it's five subjects. So this atti is normally a singular form. Us, third person singular is atti of the root us. So how does this happen? The subject is plural, but the verb is still atti. In some other cases, we also see a plural form used as, in some cases, ammahakan saridesu atteni pansang lohitang naharuti adyo nana kottasa honti. But here, kottasa is parts. Plural, honti is also plural verb. So it matches normally with the grammar. So is it that the root us is really used as conjugated, or the word atti becomes an indecline? So here, word atti, because if you decline the root us, we have atti, santi, asi atta, asmi, amhi, asma, amma. These are first person plural. Sorry, first person plural is asmi and asma. Yeah, asma and amma is first person plural. Then asmi, amhi is first person singular. Asi is second person singular. Atta is second person plural. Atti is third person singular. Santi is third person plural. So here third person singular. So the subject, normally the subject of atti should be singular noun. But here we can see it's used in plural subjects. It's used as plural subject. So in that case, atti acts as a indeclinable. It acts as an indeclinable. So we can give some references from the Pāļi itself. Putta matti, dhanam matti. So this is how we divide it. Putta me atti, dhanam me atti. So here atti, both are seems like the singular form, but since you can see subject is plural here subject is singular. So here we call atti as an indeclinable, and dhanam matti is a singular. Dhanam matti is normally we can take it atti as a normal verb. So here atti is, as the question was correct, atti is indeclinable, is an indeclinable in this sense. I have a son. If you put this into English, I is subject, son is object, have is the verb. Putto me atti. Here the son is the putto, son is given as subject. Here in the Pāļi, the object of the English verb become subject in the Pāļi verb. Then we have I was the subject in the English sentence. Here I is referred to this genitive case, not in the nominative case. So it becomes me. So the subject of the English sentence has become the genitive in the Pāļi sentence, and the object of the English sentence has become the subject in the particle set. So it's very important to know how do we write this kind of use when we want to say someone has something. Indeclinable use, then a question came. So if Bhante is indeclinable, what is the verb? There are some indeclinable used in the place of verb like Sanka, Nabba, Atti, and few indeclinables like that. So they have a verbal meaning. So they replace the verb. Another point, like sometimes we do have English, we do have Pāļi, singular verbs used in the many subjects. We do have some other examples for that. Now here, Utta Matti is, we normally consider it as Atti as a indeclinable, but in some cases we find the subject is plural, many subjects, plural, but the verb is in singular. You will see this in the Bahya Sutta even. I'll give you the example. Yatta apo cha patavi. Yatta apo cha patavi. Tejo vayo na gadati. Gadati is to stand place where the patavi, apo, tejo, and vayo do not stand. So here, even though they are plural nouns, like many subjects, we use it as a singular verb. So this is also a grammatical rule. Sometimes we have singular verbs used with many plural subjects. Not very common, very rarely. Especially we see this in some gathas, in some places. There are a few examples like that. A good example is the Bahya Sutta, the sutta we are discussing at the moment. When you go to the stanza, you will see this usage. About the many it says about Udāna. So you can find this in another sutta also, the same usage of Udāna. So it's another thing that sometimes the rule comes like this. Sometimes in the Pāļi text, singular verb is used for subject. Here it's Atti act as an indeclinable. Here Atti act as an indeclinable. Then if you have any questions regarding this.
Sorry, Bhante. I think
yes,
your voice has some background noise, Bhante. So it's not really clear.
Right. How about now?
Can Bhante
How
try
about
to
now?
talk more?
Still?
Oh yeah, it's clear now, Bhante.
Okay, right.
Bhante, like I also want to ask, like when I see the warder when he is talking about the siya, Bhante, the optative of ati.
Okay.
He said that both ati and siya can be used as singular or plural, Bhante. So, like, is it correct if we term them indeclinable, or we can simply just say that they are a verb that can be used both like that, Bhante?
I'll go through for the plural usage of siya. Siya sometimes has a indeclinable meaning. Siya is the optative, third person, singular, right?
Yes, Bhante.
Of the root us to exist. to be. So this is the normal usage. But sia also sometimes have the meaning of ekacche. Ekacche means some. You can see this in Abhidhamma, like in the questions like siya vedana kando, siya sankara kando, something like that. So in that sense, we use it at ekacche, some. So there is a indeclinable plural meaning, but it's not used as a verb. It's not used as a verb. I'll check for that and answer you next week. Or what is this usage of siya in the? Do you have any examples for that? What is the plural usage of siya as a verb? You remember any examples?
Right now, I don't have it, Bhante.
Okay. If you have it, please write it as a question with more detail so we can discuss about it next week.
Oh, okay, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante.
With some examples, so then we can have a more broad idea.
Okay, Bhante.
Yeah, it's indeclinable.
Hi, Bhante.
Yeah, hello, Dr. Ryan. Yeah.
Yes, for the verb gadati.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, for the verb gadati. So it's in the gatha. So that it's in that form. Is it because of the metric? Because we need to have what is that light, heavy, light for that particular sentence. So it has to be light for the syllable da. So that's why it cannot be done. That's why it has to be da, not done.
You means for the gata.
Yeah, because it's the gata. It has to be light, heavy, light. In that case, so if we have na, ga, da. So if it is done, then it's going to be light, heavy, heavy. So it's not.
You mean like if we have this they change the meter, like the heavy light thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, now the grammarians used to say, the grammarian, I'm not good at Gata actually, I haven't studied it. So what the grammarians in some cases that we have seen, they say because of the meter, they change it to long, short, and they change the words. But in this case, so far what I have gone through is they say it's a singular usage in the Pāļi, plural meaning, plural subject. Otherwise, in this case, they also would have said, they would have said it, but what I have known is they say it's a singular verb used in the plural subject.
I see. Okay, Bhante. No, it's just because I think we kind of studying Gata right now, and it looks like that is the case. I think.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay, so your explanation is according to the Takatha, Bhante?
No, this is wait, I'll let you know. This is they say, I have seen this in grammar books. I cannot recall the reference at the moment. Even in the Dhammacharya examinations, they teach this. They say sometimes the singular verb can be used with the plural subject. They say like that.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
Even if you go to the commentary of the Bahya Sutta, they give is na patittati in singular form. Even the Gadati is explained in the singular form, patittati. You can see this also in Vinaya. When the bhikkhunis were given some Vinaya Kamma is done for few bhikkhunis because of a certain reason. So it's like bhikkhuni A, bhikkhuni B, and bhikkhuni C, for example. Cha, and the subject is written, the verb is written in singular form. You can see this in Kammavacha also.
Yeah, in fact, it is very common. Yeah, I'm sorry. But it is also very common in Sadaniti as well. I think in some explanation.
Yes.
He also using.
Yeah, I think Sadaniti has an explanation. Sadaniti has an explanation of this.
So, Bhante,
Yeah.
because this example, this is like a gathas, because like a Shilakanda, Sakatavaka, Udāna, Abadana, Jataka, they use the same verse. So I think it's maybe like a Dr. Ryan said, that's maybe because Nahu or Garu or something like that. That maybe is one type of meaning.
I'll give you a wait. There is a Vinaya Kamma verse given in the text. In the Bhikkhuni conduct, Bhikkhuni Sikkapada, Bhikkhuni rules, there is a Vinaya Kamma done for Bhikkhunis, but in that case, there were a singular usage in the plural subjects. I'll give you the reference. A Vinaya Kamma done for Bhikkhunis. So, because this question was also raised regarding the Kammavacha in our sects. So, there was a huge debate because in our Kammavacha recitation, we have Nagocha. Nago is the temporary name that they give us. Nagocha. Upasampadang Yachati. That's how they recite the Kammavacha. Yachati. Then when this issue was brought, some Mahatheras, very learned ones, they gave an explanation on this, saying that the Kammavacha is valid because the sub-commentary of Vimati Vinodini has discussed this matter, and they have asked it's better to do it in singular form because there are few places the Buddha has used the singular form according to the text what we have today. There are some plural subjects, especially in Kammavachas, but used with the singular verb. But there are sometimes plural subject, plural verb also is found. So they don't consider it as a printing mistake. They consider this is how it was preached. That is how the tradition holds. So therefore, they say even the singular form is allowable and the plural form. And then this the paper, the Mahathera, the paper answer like the paper the Mahathera wrote, he gave few examples on this matter that the singular verbs can be used with the plural subjects. It's not a one example. There are few examples you can find in the Pāļi. I'll try to give you some more examples after finding the references. This is an issue that has been discussed in grammar books. As I remember, as Dr. Ryan said, in Saddhaniti also we discussed on this matter.
So is this called the Vachana Vipanasa?
Something like that. Yeah, Vachana should be Vachana Vipallasa. Seems like.
Yeah, because sometimes we have the plural form like a Jalaga, but actually it's singular meaning.
Yeah. So in the same way, the singular form with the plural meaning.
Oh, okay, Bhante.
Yeah, these I just brought it because in Atti also have a similar kind of a usage, but traditionally they say Atti is indeclinable. So whatever we use, whether it's a Vachana Vipallasa or declinable, I think you can get the meaning. But grammatically, traditionally, on the traditional way, if you try to analyze it grammatically, they have this kind of explanation on this. I'll give you some more further.
Bhante, are these occurrences common, Bhante?
Yeah. Not common, not very common, not very common.
Oh, okay,
just keep it in mind in some cases. Yeah, some cases. I'll try to give you more examples on this.
Okay,
at the moment, I cannot find exactly.
Bhante, like I heard, like what shall I say? Did she mean that there are some like subject that is written in plural, but it has actually singular meaning, Bhante?
Sally, what you mean? Like, what did you mean? Like, is it regarding the verb or is it regarding the subject? You exactly mean?
And regarding the subject.
Subject. Plural usage, but singular meaning, right?
Yes, Bhante.
Oh, okay, Bhante. Then, for example, For example,
Yeah.
like
Oh.
where the case is the subject is plural, Bante, and then the verb is singular, Bante. So which one we should rely, Bante? Like, do we think that
I
as
think
a
this is these are very exceptional cases, Brother Robin. It's no, you don't need to detailedly worry about that. One thing, but in such a cases, mostly the commentaries would explain it. In most of the cases.
oh, okay, Bante.
Yeah,
Yes, Bante.
we are
Because
unable to give an exact statement on that. It depends on the situation, on the context it is being used. Mostly because of the context, even though it's recorded in plural or singular, if the tradition knew the context under which it was, the scenario under which it was preached, so then it's very clear whether there were many subjects or many objects, what was the Buddha referring to. So only the persons who have known the context, what was the actual situation under which the sutta or the story was preached, they can just then judge whether it is a even though it's written in plural, whether we should get the singular meaning, or even it's written in singular, should we get the plural meaning, because it's beyond our capacity. We are unable to understand it because we don't know what was the exact incident was. So the ones who since the tradition says that they have preserved, they know the incident also. The incident was also preserved in the commentarial tradition, within the commentarial tradition. So matching with that, or maybe what was written in the sutta itself, in the previous parts of the sutta, that's how they imply the meaning. Even though it's used in plural, the singular meaning should be taken.
I
okay,
think
Bante.
this case is like sometimes when we use the dangi manyata, in that case, like a manyata, sometimes actually is singular meaning, but sometimes it's plural.
But Tanki Manyata Bhikkhave, right? It's plural. He's asking for many monks.
Oh, not only Bhikkhave, but sometimes in the, I think in the, when the Nagasena.
Oh, it's Tanki Manyasi, right? Okay.
When the Nagasena told the king, so that actually that time only the king, but the Nagasena asked the kings, Dangi Manyata.
Okay. Then another thing is this since it was brought here, another thing is now we find in some, it can be later traditions mostly. Sadhaniti also discuss about this matter in detail. Second person plural, second person. Second. Sorry. Second person usage. So here we normally say Tuang is connected with second person singular verb, and Tumhe is second person plural verb. Then regarding Tumhe of respected person, sorry, Tuang of a respected. If the person is respected, we normally use second person plural form. So for example, the Sadhaniti has given a detailed explanation on this. He used to say, when we look into the suttas, you find even these people were addressing the Buddha in some cases. They were using the second person singular form, even to the Buddha. But when you come to the later, like commentarial traditions, whenever we talk to a Thera, a respected person, we always use the second person plural form, not the singular form. So the Sadhaniti has given a very analytical explanation on this. If you can find this, I think this was found in, to my memory, it was Dhatumala, in the beginning of the Dhatumala. He gives an explanation how this usage can be found in the text, in the commentaries and so forth. Even in the text, if my memory is correct, second person singular respected forms, we can find the plural verb. right? So somehow in the later tradition, in the tradition for the senior monks, we use the second person plural. So the same thing happens now. For example, it's a practical example I'm giving in the Apati Desana. Apati Desana is the confession word. If you are aware of that, when monks have done a fault, they have to confess it with another monk. So normally the senior monk, when the senior monk is doing the confession, the junior has to ask, "Do you see your faults?" We normally say "Passata Bhante ta apattiyo." Right? Do you see those offenses? These are in the middle part of the confession. Passata Bhante ta apattiyo. Do you see those offenses? So he's asking for the senior. We don't for the junior. This is junior asking senior. Now, if you take the senior asking the junior, we use passasi also. Ta apattiyo. This is senior asking the junior. We still follow this tradition. So it shows that there in the second person, sometimes the verbal meaning can change because of the respected to a respected person. Another thing regarding the second person, I don't know how this tradition has come. In our confession sentences, we normally say like when he's reciting a senior reciting someone apattiyo. Right? There are some few words in the beginning, just for your knowledge. Apattiyo, tha, apattiyo, apajing, tha, tumha mule. Pati desemi. I confess this in front of you. Tumha mule. Right? They use tumha mule here. Then this is a junior reciting to senior. Then we have when the senior is reciting, apattiyo, apajing, I committed some offenses. Ta tuiha mule, pati desemi. This is senior to junior. So here also we can find tumma mule and tuiha. Considered as respected than tuiha. I don't know how this, I'm not aware why this change has come and what is the meaning of it, like exactly why there is some change. But see, both are singular people. You are reciting in front of a monk. Then here it's very clear. We have passata used for when we are asking, the junior is asking the senior to, do you see your fault? This is what is the meaning. Passata bhante tāpade. Do you see your fault as faults? Then senior is asking the junior, do you see your faults as faults? But here the usage is different. When we junior ask the senior, we use the second person plural. When the senior is asking the junior, we use the second person singular. What I mean was, when you say the second person plural, this has another explanation on this based on the respected nature of the second person. Any questions regarding this?
Thank you so much, Bhante. Thank you, Sialai.
Okay. So Okay. So we'll go to the, shall we go to the next question? I think we talked a lot here. Then we go to the number 5. This question is about the usage of the word nama, meaning namely or name. Does the word always have to follow the case of the noun it refers to, specifically based on these two sentences in Sattarasamo Sajjayo? With the nama we normally call called, right? Normally we have the meaning nama is called. Sometimes it may have some different meanings on this word nama according to some grammarians, but normally we translate this as is called. So then the examples given in the question, Siddhartha Kumaro. Hello.
Bhante.
Yes,
Sorry,
sister. Yes,
Bhante.
Sister Nyalika. Yeah.
Bhante, could you please go back to the previous? Yes, right there.
Yes. Yeah, right.
The ta tumha mule and ta tuiha mule. This tumha is belong to which case is this?
This is a compound noun. It's a compound noun.
Oh, so it's a genitive case or is a dative case?
Tumham, tuiham.
And tuihang also. I found
Tumhang and tuihang. I got to forget. Can someone help me with the Tumha declination?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Do you have the declination?
Yes, I can read to you now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah. Can you read the dative and genitive case? Genitive case. Okay.
Yes, tua tuihang tumhang.
Yeah. Tuihang and tumhang.
Tumhang.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the genitive
Maybe my genitive case the same,
right.
dative case the same. Yes.
Tava.
For singular
Tava is the one, right? Tava.
Yes. Tuisang.
Tuihang.
Yes. And tumhang. Yes. And plural is tumhang.
Plural is tumhaka.
Tumhakan. Wo.
Tumhang tum.
Tumhakan. Wo.
Right. So I think it seems like this one, like tumhang, it like the word should be it seems like tumhang mule. Tumhang plus mula. So I think the nigahita is dropped. Here also, sometimes we do like that in some tumhang, tuihang. Plus mula. So it seems the nigahita is dropped. So it's not going to be tumha, right? So tumha mule, tuiha mule. So we can say this one has changed into the stem, but this one has not changed into its stem. Normally in samasa you come into the stem, but here it has not come. So we can say it has changed. The nigahita is dropped only, right here. So here we can say the nigahita is dropped, or it can be said tumhang has changed into the stem, tumha stem. Both is possible regarding this. So I think this one is used to the singular. It's clear, right? The singular. Tumha is not the singular form. Seems like the plural form. They are taking the plural form. So instead of, so we can say the singular. It's a samasa made with the plural tumha noun, tumhang, and this is a samasa made with the singular form, tuihang.
So Bhante, they
not
are
this tumha, this plural.
Okay, yes, I see.
Genitive,
so
yes. Mula is yeah.
So how do you translate the whole sentence if we put it in genitive case?
In front of you. So we normally translate.
I see.
I confess these offenses. Ta refers to apatyo. Those offenses in front of you, at your feet, you can say.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. It also became clear. Tumhan tuiha. So then we go to the next question. This question is about the usage of the word nama, meaning namely or named, right? Namely, yeah, namely or named. Does the word always have to follow the case of the noun it refers to? Specifically based on these two sentences. Siddhartha Kumaro Attano Bhavana Nikamitva, the Siddhartha Kumar, the Prince Bhavana mansion, Kantakanama Asang Aruhitva Gato, went, having ascended to the horse named or called Kantaka. Kantaka Nama Asang. Right, so this act as a in between Kantakang Asang. The horse was called Kantaka. Then here also we can find Tena Sadding with him. Channo Nama Amachopi Agamasi. The Channa also went. The minister also went. Minister who was called Channa. Channa and Amacha, they are connected. Then, so when I asked my friend about this thing, that they call it indeclinable, and in the tradition, and as you said, the question was asked. As the question was asked, he said normally the nama follows the case ending of the noun it follows. Kantakang nama assang. So here it's accusative case. Channo nama amacho is, according to them, is a nominative case. Does it mean that we should say Siddhartha Kumara Channena nama amachena sadding gato? So here it's if we say it's he went with the Channa Amacha, according to what we discussed, he said this is instrumental case there. So Uruvelayang nama padese buddhatang papuni. Here it should be locative case. So it says it follows the now case ending of the noun it refers to according to the tradition. But according to the philological explanation, they would say this nama it has a special declination. Nama is an accusative singular according to Sanskrit. Accusative singular. Nama is accusative singular. I mean, that's how I have learned about it. Our teacher said it's always it's accusative singular because according to Sanskrit, nama is accusative singular form. It's a special form without an ikahita. I think once you have studied basic Sanskrit would know that. But traditionally, as the question was raised, it's used in the it will refer to the case ending of the noun it refers to. Any questions on this?
Hi,
Is it clear? So shall we move to the next question? Yes, Dr. Ran.
Yes. So the question is, so it's about the case, for example, in the next to the C and D. So in the C, we have amachena.
Yes.
Then it's in the instrumental case. And that amachena, it's related to the word jannena. So does that mean that we have to decline the word jannena in the accusative instrumental case as well? And for the then the Bhante says in the locative case, such as Uruvelayang, it has to be in the locative case as well. That's the question.
Nama also, as an indeclinable, it also refers to the same case. It has the same case the nouns have.
Yeah, so it has to, those two, the words in red, they have
Yes,
to
exactly.
be in case.
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Then we come to this question number 6. This question is related to one of those already discussed earlier on Bible. In grammar books, we can find full declination of atta. However, with the search in the Pāļi literature, no plural form such as attano, attanehi, attanebi, attanesu can be found. Could we take from this that, in fact, Originally, the word atta just indicates self regardless of number. For example, attana means by self and is used regardless of number. Yeah, it's a very important declination, this atta. As you said, we normally find the singular form usages of atta. We normally find the singular usages of atta. In secondary literature, we maybe found some words, but as I also checked, we couldn't find these usages like what's given in the Pāļi declinations. So it's a good question that whether shall we regard atta as a singular and plural as just as self. One more thing is normally atta refers to a self, and normally the people refers to oneself. When we talk about a person, we don't have two I's. I means there's only one I. I means I, the capital I. Maybe that is the reason. So we have the self is mostly written in the singular form. And also it's another important thing is like when we talk about the genitive case, because the word attano can be found in Sagata Vagga Tika, but it is very clear that was a printing mistake. It should be attano, not attano. So the word attano also we cannot find. So, but normally we find a sentence. Sentence means some in usage. If we can write like this, Rajano. I think you found it in the Patavali also. Rajano, the kings. Attano, putte, Rajesu, Atita, Etung, Chanti. When I discussed with my friend also, he also agreed that normally they use singular form. So you can see the many kings want to establish their children, princesses in their kingdoms to make them kings. So only this attano is written in singular form. We don't find it attano normally. So he said there is no such explanation traditionally about this. Traditionally, we don't have such an explanation. Why only the singular form can be found and so forth. Normally this singular form is what we found in the Pāļi. So traditionally we have no explanation. So he said what he felt was, he didn't study it, what he felt was like it was referring kings personally want to keep their children in their want to make their princess the kings. So then I also argued like if it was like Rajano, attano putte, Rajesu, Patitta Petung Ichanti. Then this is very clear because we have repeated this 2 times. Attano, Ekameka. So then they are each sons. They want to keep their own sons, make their own sons the kings. So if you have used this attano 2 times, it's very clear. He also agreed on that. It's very clear. But the thing is, we have just one attano. So he said normally they would give the meaning in singular form, but there is no such discussion that my Abhivansa friend has made regarding why it is in singular, shouldn't it be plural and so forth. So what he said was he understood it meaning. Personally, I also, when I was reading before, I also took it like that. I felt the difference. It should be plural, but then I didn't check the Tipitaka whether the plural form is there or not. But when the question came, I also started to search, and I find the plural attano is not found. So that's the time I also understood that this plural usage is not not common in the Tipitaka. So then we can either said, that's why in a one Viber discussion, I think I mentioned that this can be mentioned taken in the plural form and the singular form based on my experience, I said. Then I wanted to clarify it grammatically. He said there is no such explanation that gives attano is a plural form. They say it's exactly a singular form. Then I think we have to go into the philological and philosophical aspects to explain why the plural usage, the plural term is not used. Why the plural term is not used. So one of the points that he said was the words that we have in the Tipitaka, this is said in the Saddhaniti also, words that we have in the Tipitaka and the words we have in the grammar can be changed. That's why in the Saddhaniti we use the word Sasanika. Sasanika means the grammarians of the Sasana. And then Saddhavidu is the grammarians. So sometimes, even though we know Pāli is a language directly connected to the Theravada Buddhism, there is a certain Pāli tradition, which we like, certain Pāli traditions based on the grammar that is not directly related to the Tipitaka. That's why I think if you remember the Antaracha Rajagahang, Antaracha Savatting. So that is how it's found in Tipitaka. But some grammarians used to argue, according to the Pāli, it is also correct to use just one Antara. Antaracha Nadincha Gamancha, something like that. So likewise, he said that it is not really necessarily that the words in the Tipitaka and the words of the Pāli language should be words in the grammar should be matched. That's what what some would argue like that. Go into research on this. I would suggest you to think about this philological aspect. I didn't have time to do that. Philological aspect of this attano and how this has got developed, and is there any plural usage in the Sanskrit literature about this attano, atta, atman? Is there any Sanskrit usages? And most of the cases, but it's not a very solid argument what I'm bringing. Atta is normally one thing. It's a self when it refers to a person. But if he was referring to many people, it would have been plural usage has to be used, that's for sure. So somehow we don't find the plural usages of atta, strangely. So this is a very good argument. Origin of the word atta just indicates self regardless of the number, right? It seems like that. Seems like that, and when we don't have that plural usages, right? So then we come into the word attana. I'll extend this discussion a bit further. So attanava, attanam sammanati. I'm taking this because the attana was, for example, attana means by self and is used regardless of the number. It seems like attano is regardless of the number. You can see, you can take the kings want to make their princesses the kings. They are. So this has the meaning of the plural. We can take it as the plural meaning and singular meaning in terms of the essence. But traditionally, what they teach in the Myanmar, they always say this is a singular form. So if we take the essence, I think it's not a burden to, not an obstacle for us to take these singular forms with the plural meaning. I also agree with this point. Then attanava attanang sammanati. You can find this usage in Pāli. One, sammanati means appoints. This is a rough meaning. Oneself. Like in Vinaya, if we, in some Vinaya Kammas, for the reciting and all, a learned monk can tell, okay, I will recite by myself. So he can appoint himself. That is called attanava attanang sammanati. This attanava eva. So this is instrumental case. Attana. Attanang is himself. He appoints himself. So we can find this if you search this usage in Vinaya mostly. So then in this regard, the Rupa Siddhi says that attana is very clear. Attana, this should be divided attana eva. Attana is instrumental case. Instrumental case. So Rupa Siddhi gives them idea. This is instrumental case used in the nominative meaning, right? Just give me 1 second. Upasama itu. Upasama. Terawan sanai. Oh. Produk. Mama panti ini produk. Produk upasama lagi na? Sorry, there was a call. Sorry for that. Rupa Siddhi says that instrumental K is used in the nominative meaning. It's not the kattu meaning. He said it's nominative meaning. Because we also have a usage, instrumental case has the meaning of the subject. So it's kattaricha, the rule is called kattaricha. It's also used in the instrumental case and subject. But here what he's saying is it's in the nominative meaning. So it should be taken as attana should be understood as atta. Atta. So according to Rupa Siddhi, attanava attana sammanati should be taken as attanang sammanati. One appoints oneself. Same meaning, right? One appoints oneself. So here it is the nominative. So don't get, some students may get confused in this, but what I'm meaning is, even what the Rupa Siddhi says, attana, the word, original word is attana, actual meaning of atta. That's what they're saying. Attana should be taken as atta in the nominative case. Then Sayadaw Janaka Abhivansa, Bhasatika Sayadaw, Venerable Janaka Abhivansa is arguing that this is instrumental, attana, right? This attana instrumental of adverb. So what is he saying is this sentence should be taken not as atta should be taken as atta. He says there should be a word called tero or some monk, bhikkhu or tero, whoever. Tero or bhikkhu, any monk in the Vinaya Kamma. For if this is the Vinaya Kamma aspect, or it can be any other person, manuso or puriso or itti, whatever, who is doing this, whoever doing this appointment. Attanava, attanang sammanati. So according to him, attana eva plus eva, attana is a instrumental of adverb. Is the adverb, not the nominative case as the Rupa Siddhi suggests. So according to the question was raised, as I agree with this, it indicates by use regardless of the number. It seems like that in the essence, but traditionally they would always call attana is a singular, attano is plural, right? But then I extended the discussion with the I extended the discussion for the attana. There is a very special usage, attana attana samanati. So this has two opinions grammatically. The idea, the same meaning, the meaning would not affect if you are analyzing it grammatically. The Rupa Siddhi Buddhike, it is the nominative meaning used in the instrumental form. So Janaka Abhivansa suggests it's not the nominative meaning, it should be the instrumental of adverb. It's an adverb that the Thera, the senior monk, a bhikkhu, appoints himself, by himself, appoints himself. This is the object. One who appoints is the attana, right? Attana. He appoints himself by himself. By himself is attana. So in this, according to one appoints oneself. So here, the monk, for instance, appoints himself. Himself is the attana, singular form. This is how we get the meaning for this one. Here is one appoints one self.
Bhante?
Yes, Sally. Yeah.
I think it's samanandi. It's not samanati. With another n. The verb.
Is it always?
The double n, not single n.
Samma. Sorry.
Samanandi.
Samananti.
Yeah, double n. No. In front. Yes.
Samanati. Okay. Sorry. So thank you for that. So thank you. Samanati. Yeah.
Hi,
Do you have any
Bhante.
questions regarding this?
Yes, Bhante.
Hello.
So in the Rupa Siddhi, in that particular example, what he means is that the word Atana has the meaning of nominative in only this case,
Yes.
not always, right, Bhante?
Yeah, not always. Only in this case.
Right.
Only in this example. This is a type of example.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. But we can also find in the sometimes you see another usage like attanava attanang sammanni tabbang. So here is the passive voice word, like future passive participle. So here it's very clear. So khatang. How one should be appointed by oneself. If you look at this formation, khatang how, attanava is as usual, attana plus eva, attanang sammanni tabba, right? Attanava attanang sammanni tabba. So then this is another very strange usage. Like if it is a passive voice, it seems like a passive voice. If it was a passive voice sentence, it should have been like this. Khatang attanava, right? Attana plus eva, atta sammanni tabbo. And this is how the grammatically that we have studied. Because sammanni tabba is a transitive verb. So transitive verbs, when we change into the passive participle, it becomes a passive voice word. So then at that time, the object should be written in nominative case, the subject should be written in instrumental case. That is the normal usage, right? In the passive voice sentences, because it's transitive verb, like for example, if we take the normal example, purisena odano pachi tabbo. The word, if I use an active voice normal sentence, puriso odanang pachati, right? So this is the nominative, this is the accusative, because this is the object, this is a subject, and this is an active voice verb. But when it comes to passive voice, future passive participle, since this passive voice word, in the sentence, the object become nominative. So likewise, since it's a active voice sentence, so in that sense, if it was an intransitive, for an instance, for example, puriso tittati, the man stands. So since it's an active intransitive verb, there is no object in it. But if you want to say that the man should sit, the man should stand, we can use it in the future participle usage, future passive participle normally we call it. We will have to use purisena tātabbang. Right? Sometimes this can be a little bit advanced for some students. I'm just giving, because there are some students who are interested in advanced grammar. So purisena tātabbang. Puriso tiktati change into purisena tātabbang when it comes to this tabba aniya suffixes. But here, since because it's an intransitive verb, but since pachi is a transitive verb, when it comes to pachitabbo, purisena, odano, pachitabbo. So this is a passive voice. This is active voice normal sentence, right? Voice, I would call it present tense. Then here also it is active voice present tense. Here we don't call it passive voice, we call it abstract. There can be different translations. The Pāļi word is bhavakaraka. This is kammakaraka. Right? This is kattuka, puriso odana pachitabba. So tabba aniya is either bhavakaraka or either kammakaraka. There is no kattukaraka tabba aniya normally. We don't have. Rarely there can be some words, rarely, but it's normally bhavakaraka and kammakaraka. So now we can see, if it is kammakaraka, object should be written in nominative, subject should be written in instrumental, then according to the object, tabbo and odano, the verb should be written. Then here in this abstract voice, there is no object in it. There is no object. The tabba should be written in tabbang, neuter gender singular, not in masculine gender. It should be neuter gender always. Then the subject is instrument. Subject is always instrumental. Object is nominative if it is a passive voice verb. Since here we don't have an object, we don't want to bother about it. Then a question can come, how if we use the transitive verb in the bhavakaraka, transitive verb in the bhavakaraka, right? Not a passive voice. This is abstract voice still, right? Because bhavakaraka is abstract verb, but it's a transitive verb. Here it was not a problem because this is an intransitive. Intransitive belongs to the verb root. Intransitive roots. We are talking about here transitive. Transitive roots. This is intransitive roots. Now, if we want to make it this pach, example, the root is pach, here root is ta. Right. So here is kammakaraka, passive voice is clear. If you want to make it in abstract voice, bhavakaraka, we have to write it purisena odanang pachitabang. So in the bhavakaraka, always the tabba verb should be written in neuter gender singular. In the bhavakaraka, whether it's transitive or intransitive, should be written in neuter gender singular. Then what happens? This, if it is bhavakaraka, it refers to the action. If it is kammakaraka, it refers to the object. So object and the both should be in the same case, and it's written in nominative case. It's written in nominative case. If I go to explain why it is nominative, I think we can discuss in a different day why it is in nominative case. So here it doesn't refer to the object. It doesn't refer to the object. So in bhavakaraka, right, the rule is in bhavakaraka, the kitaka noun should be written in neuter gender nominative singular. Should be written neuter gender nominative, regardless of the object or the subject. Otherwise, we know if it was a passive voice one, if the object was plural, this also has to be plural. For example, Purisena or the na plural, many rice. Pachitabba should be. This is still passive voice. Kamma karaka. Right? It changed according to the nature of the object. But if you look into this sentence, Purisena plural, Purisena or the ne accusative plural, Pachi Tabbang. This is abstract voice, Bhavakaraka. This is abstract voice, Bhavakaraka. So it doesn't change according to the object. It's just, it refers to the verb. So if you look into this sentence, you can see Katang Attanava Attanang Sammani Tabbang. If you just type this, you can find this in Vinaya. Many places, a few places you can find. Sammani Tabbang. So Sammani Tabbang is normally a transitive verb. So normally we would write Sammani Tabbo and Atta, because Atta is a nominative singular. So based on that, Sammani Tabbo should be nominative singular. Subject, the case of the subject will be always instrumental case. But you can see here, it's Sammani Tabbang, neuter gender singular. And Attanang is also in the accusative case. So it shows that this is not a passive voice sentence. This is not a passive voice sentence. So it is a abstract, Bhavaka, abstract voice. It means Bhava Karaka. I just found this example, so that's why I want to discuss about this. Even with Attanang, Attana, right? Normally, I think the previous one was clear. Maybe I gave some complicated information. Anyhow, this Attana, Attanang, Sammani, Tabbang, a person with grammar knowledge would always ask, it should be Attanava, Atta, Sammani, Tabbo, because Atta is a masculine gender, nominative noun should be, because normally in the passive voice, the object should be written in nominative, and based on that, this the verb, the participle also should be written in nominative case, right? But here it says the object is written in accusative, subject is written in instrumental. It's very clear because of Sammani Tabba is a Tabba suffix. So in Tabba suffix, subject should be always written in instrumental case. So by why this object not become nominative, but was written in accusative, and this one also is written in the neuter gender in the ang ending. This is not because of the object. This is not because of the object. Here it's this one is accusative singular, masculine, accusative singular. This one is neuter gender nominative singular. Right. So these for advanced some points that I would like to discuss because it was related to Attana. I just thought it's good to explain. If you have any questions on this.
Yes, thank you so much for giving more details on this. But in fact, I've been looking for literatures on this Bawa usage. So where should I read more on this, Bhante?
On this, very less. If you can have a detailed explanation, Dr. Ryan, in Saddhaniti. In Saddhaniti, that was in Dhatu Mala. Okay. He has given a very long explanation on this. On this point, Saddhaniti Dhatu Mala. I'll send it to the group. From which book page?
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
I'll send a message to the group. Right.
So Bhante, In this Bhava
Yes.
Karaka
Yeah.
there, can we use the plural form nominative?
No, Bhavakaraka is always neuter gender singular.
Always singular. So in
Yeah,
that single,
always.
we can consider it as like because in European we also consider neuter gender singular always as the group meaning.
No, here what they're saying is the traditional Pāļi grammarians, what their argument is, I'll let you know what is the Pāļi grammarians idea. The Bhavakaraka always refers to the action. Action doesn't have a gender. And action doesn't have that, action itself doesn't have the plural singular nature. It's an action. So therefore, what they are saying is this is always neuter gender singular form. That's why they are saying. So when it doesn't have a gender, we put it into the neuter gender. And since it doesn't have any plural or singular, because plural singular form, there can be many actions. Action of going can be plural when it is done by many, the action is plural. It's not that the action itself is plural because it's not a thing. Pluralness or singularness can be found in things only. So why we put action in plural form? When the actions were done, action is done by many subjects, the action become plural. So other than when you refer only to the action, it doesn't have any pluralness or singularness, singularity or plurality. It has only, it's just the action. So that's why we always keep it in singular form. Then since action doesn't have a gender, because in Pali, the gender is just a grammatical gender, it's not actual gender. But somehow, even in grammatically, the grammarians don't recognize action has a gender. So therefore, when something doesn't have a gender, we put it in singular, put in neuter gender. And when one does something doesn't have a singularity or plurality, we keep it in singular form. That's why it's singular, neuter gender, singular.
So Bhante,
Yes.
so in Bhavakaraka here, so the verb should be always intransitive root.
Then I have opened a new lesson like this. Bhavakaraka, I was talking about the tabba suffix here. Now, for your further information, if you ask the question, the Bhavakaraka, okay, we'll see the verbs have 3 types of verbs. We have 3 types of verbs. 3 types of verbs. So these 3 types are active voice. Then we have passive voice and abstract voice. I think it's better if you can study in the Pali words, Kattu Karaka. Then we have Kamma Karaka and Bhava Karaka, right? So based on that, 3 types of verbs, 3 types of participles also we have. Past participle, present participle, future participle also have Kattu Karaka, Kamma Karaka, Bhava Karaka, right? So now the normal idea is in a sentence, the verb or a participle replacing a verb. I think you know this. Sometimes we can say a participle instead of a verb. If you give the question example, if you remember Siddhartha number C. Siddhartha Kumaro Channena Nam Amachena Saddin Gato. There's no verb. It's a participle is representing the verb. Gato is went. It's just a noun, right? So sometimes the participles can take the place of a verb. Participles can take the place of a verb. So now the verb of verb, there are 2 things, the verb or a participle replacing a verb, right? Verb or participle replacing a verb. So now what happens, now this is the rule. If the verb or the participle replacing a verb is in the active voice, Kattu Karaka. Shall I use the Pali word? Kattu Karaka. If it is written in Kattukaraka, then this is the normal idea of the grammarians. Kattukaraka, subject, sorry, just bold. Subject should be written in instrumental, sorry, nominative, sorry, subject. If the verb, now Kattukaraka is the verb, right, or the participle replacing a verb, right? So this Kattukaraka is referred to this, always keep in mind. Either it's the verb or the participle replacing a verb. So how do we understand the Kattukaraka or Kammakaraka or Bhavakaraka nature of a verb? For that we have to discuss further. So I'll just tell you that there are three types of verbs, three types of participles, right? Three types of verbs and participles. So if the verb or the participle replacing a verb, not all participle replacing a verb is in Kattukaraka, active voice. Kattukaraka is active. The subject should be written in nominative. Object should be written in accusative. There can be changes. Sometimes it can be written in genitive. These are exceptional, right? These normally object is accusative. That's the rule. And then object should be written in accusative. Then the verb is as it is. Then if the verb or the participle replacing a verb is Kammakaraka, passive voice, then what happens? Subject is in instrumental and object is in nominative. Right? I think if you have studied the basic grammar, most students would know this. In passive voice, subject is instrumental, object is nominative. In active voice, subject is nominative, object is accusative. Right? But when it comes to Bhavakaraka, this is abstract voice. When it comes to this abstract voice, if the verb or the participle is in the Bhavakaraka, the grammarian's idea, according to Kachayana, the thing is, subject should be written in instrumental and object should be written in accusative, not nominative. Object should be written in accusative. So this is so you can see the difference. Now here it's subject is nominative and object is accusative in the active voice. These are normal sentences. Passive voice, the subject change into instrumental, object change into nominative. But in Bhavakaraka, subject is instrumental, object is accusative. There's no nominative case, right? But the Saddhaniti Sayadaw is often a different opinion. According to him, he has given some arguments on this. Whenever Lady Sayadaw doesn't accept this Saddhaniti on this occasion, he follows the Kachayana tradition. Kachayana means the noble tradition. Saddhaniti gives some revolutionary idea. He says, in the Bhavakaraka also, subject should be in nominative and object should be in accusative. It's similar to the active voice sentence. You can see the active voice sentence and the Bhavakaraka of Saddhaniti are also similar, right? So if you ask me a question, where are the places where this Bhavakaraka is used? So far, I also discussed with my friend who passed Abhivansa, in the literature, we have not found Bhavakaraka verbs in the literature, not common. I would use the word common because I haven't studied the entire literature analytically. But even he himself has not found, and they have not given the Abhivansa students the examples from the text even. So when I asked this, he said he also have not gone through any Bhavakaraka verb, right? Verb is like pachati, pachanti, and so forth. But in literature, Bhavakaraka participles are common, very common. We can find it in many places. So this is another example, what I say. This is a Bhavakaraka. Sammanittabba is a Bhavakaraka. This example, to my memory, they even discuss this in Abhivansa examinations. So here, so this is what I can give so far. It's Bhavakaraka verbs. Don't worry about that. I haven't come through, and even in traditional Myanmar examinations, they haven't come through examples found in the literature, not even in the commentary literature. But still, grammarians call about a Bhavakaraka verb. According to Kachayana, right? According to Kachayana. Bhavakaraka verbs, according to Kachayana, not common. But Bhavakaraka verbs, according to Saddhaniti, is common, right? Saddhaniti. So there are two ideas on this, right? Bhavakaraka verb is verb. I'm not talking about the participle. Participle is very common in according to any tradition. But the verb, according to Kachayana, we have not found yet. But according to Saddhaniti, is very common. We can found in. There are many examples that he has given. Lo Mahanso, Pahisati, Ajaniya, Hasiyanti, and so forth. Whenever Lady Sayadaw explains them differently, he says, even though Saddhaniti says them, they are Bhavakaraka, he doesn't agree upon this. You can find this in Nirutti Dipani, verb, the verb chapter. You can find that Saddhaniti, Lady Sayadaw is against Saddhaniti. But it's very good to read the Saddhaniti chapter also. It's very long. He explains, he argues why he is saying this subject of Bhavakaraka verb, not the participle. Participle is very common. Bhavakaraka verb should be written in nominative and object should be written in accusative. This is for the, for example, verb, right? For the participle, it's very clear, even in, to my knowledge, Kachayana or Saddhaniti both have the argument, both accept that subject is instrumental and object is accusative. I'm talking about this argument is regarding the Bhavakaraka verb, not the participle. I hope it was a little bit clear, because I just tried to explain some deep points.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions on this matter?
I'm sorry, Bhante. I have two small questions, Bhante. Like,
Okay.
I understand.
I think the time also has passed. Yeah.
Oh, is it enough, Bhante?
You can ask the questions. You can ask.
Okay.
Yeah, no. You can ask the questions.
Oh, okay, Bhante. I understand the Katukaraka, Kamakaraka, and Bawakaraka as the difference between the emphasis, Bhante. Is that correct,
Yes.
Bhante?
Yes. Katukaraka emphasizes upon the subject. Right?
Kamakaraka
emphasizes upon the object. Bhavakaraka emphasizes upon the verb, the action.
Okay, Bhante. And then I want to, can Bhante go to the example, Bhante, the top example?
This one?
Yes. So
This one. Or the
Purisena,
okay,
Bhante.
right, okay.
Sorry, Bhante. So is the Purisena Udāna Pacitabang, we should translate it as the cooking of the rice should be done by the man, Bhante?
Yeah, that's how, if you traditionally literally translate, it should be like the cooking of the rice is done by the man, or should be done by the man. But you can translate it as the the rice should be cooked by the man, you can translate it. The man should cook the rice also, it's possible. But if you go analyze grammatically, idea is clear, but grammatically, you have to say the cooking of the rice should be done by the man. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Bhante. The emphasis is on the cooking, right, Bhante? The action of the cooking.
Cooking, yeah. So you can find, like, there is a very nice example about Puriso Tiktati Purisena Tataba. For example, when a monk is one person has kept some money with a kapya, then the monk should go to him and remind him that I'm in need of a robe. If the kapya is just neglecting the monk, after few askings, we can go and stand without talking. We just go and stand in front of the kapya just to indicate him. So the text goes as Chatukattum Panchakattum Chakkattuparam Tunhi Bhutena Tatamba. Right? Chatukattum, or 4 times, 5 times or 6 times. Chatukattum Panchakattum Chakkattuparamang Tunhi Bhutena Tatambang. Right? So if we translate, the standing should be done by the monk being silent. Tunhi bhutena bhikkhuna. It's not mentioned. The bhikkhuna is not mentioned, but we can understand it. Bhikkhuna tunhi bhutena tatamba. Being silent, he should stand. But if you translate this, the standing should be done by the monk being silent 4 or 5 times. But we normally translate, the monk should go and stand in front of him silently. So when you are translating for the reading, I would prefer always go to the essence and translate, even though grammatically the different emphasis is given. That's how we convey the idea. But I don't know whether there was such a philosophy that why they gave the emphasis on tatabang instead of saying titteya or something, using the optative case and so forth. Is there any change in the meaning? But we haven't. I haven't thought about it. But if you want to just, we normally say when we explain the Vinaya, you should go and stand. You can stand 3 times. So in the commentary also doesn't say that why the Bhavakaraka is used. Because of this, there is a certain meaning of the meaning and so forth. We don't emphasize like that. So if you translate it, even you translate, the monk should stand for 3, 4, 5, 6 times, being silent. It is enough. You can see this in Pāti Mokka. Is it clear, Brother Robin?
Yes, Bhante. Thank you so much, Bhante.
Okay. So shall we call it a day, Sally? Because there is another question. Sorry for that. There's a question given the last week. Can you explain more about the practice in which we analyze formation of the Pāli words? For instance, Samapajjati, Sang, Ha, Padyati. So if I start to explain this, it will take few minutes. So shall we discuss this next week?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay, right. Okay. So,
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you so much, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, thank
You
you.
all the best. Okay, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
It's really wonderful explanation.
Sadhu,
Really.
sadhu.